Piers, absolutely a joy to see you. I wanted to put you something a member of the Cabinet said to me today, which is that because Donald Trump represented something sort of so new and so different in terms of sort of leading the free world, Keir Starmer had to take a big risk in terms of who he appointed to be US ambassador. And the risk of appointing Mandelson, who is an accomplished negotiator, was worth taking. I just wondered whether you agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, I've known Peter Mandelson over 30 years, and he's a very gifted political operator, a self-appointed, prince of darkness and all the rest of it. But his track record is pretty awful. He's had to resign from 2 governments, now a third. This is pretty unprecedented in the history of British politics. And it all comes back to his Achilles heel, which has always been money, fame, rich people, powerful people, sucking up to them and trying to enrich himself in the process. And it's been a familiar pattern going back decades. So no one can really, I think, with a straight face, say they didn't know what they were getting with Peter Mandelson. I think the most significant revelation today was Keir Starmer in PMQs on the ropes from Kemi Badenoch, actually saying for the first time clearly that when he appointed Mandelson, he was aware that Mandelson had had an ongoing friendship with Epstein, which went after the conviction for paedophilia. And we don't know how long that went on for or exactly the nature of it. We're hearing more all the time. But what we now know is that that ongoing relationship involved him passing secrets from the UK government to a disgraced, shamed paedophile US multimillionaire financier, and God knows what he did with it. So, on every level, this stacks up to me as the worst political scandal of my lifetime. I think it dwarfs anything Profumo did. And it's an accident that was waiting to happen. And it calls into question Keir Starmer's personal judgment. If he knew that Mandelson was carrying on the friendship with Epstein way past he had intimated to people that it had gone on, then why the hell take the risk of giving him one of the most high-profile jobs in the world in terms of UK politicians? Madness.
So do you think Starmer can survive this?
I think it's the kind of thing, I saw John McDonnell today saying it's the kind of thing that not only brings down prime ministers, it can bring down governments. I think there's a risk. There's a real risk here. This is the single biggest political scandal of my lifetime, but it's also simultaneously the single biggest royal scandal involving the British monarchy of my lifetime, both colliding simultaneously around the prism of Jeffrey Epstein, and both really linked with the same thing of feckless, weak men, the former Prince Andrew and the soon-to-be former Lord Mandelson, sucking up to a rich, powerful American financier, disregarding his conviction for sex offences with minors, and doing it to feather their own nest and to lead a life of luxury that he's paying for. And I think it's completely disgraceful. But in Mandelson's case, it goes further. And I think they should both be giving evidence to Congress in the United States, but they should also both be giving evidence under oath to the police.
I suppose part of it that sort of troubles me, really, quite profoundly, is this, right? So for years, everybody knows that Epstein is a bad un. And as you say, everybody knows that Mandelson is somebody who has been sacked for repeatedly breaching the rules. How is it that both of these people end up being rehabilitated? What is wrong with our system?
Well, it's completely baffling, isn't it? And it's at the core of this. I mean, I've always said from the start of the Epstein scandal that you can have plausible deniability if you genuinely distanced yourself completely from Epstein post his conviction. Then, OK, fair enough. You can't, the guy was gad-flying around, running a huge sort of high society world, hooking everybody into it. But the moment he got that conviction and became a convicted paedophile, you cannot, in all good conscience, continue to consort with that guy. To your point, I totally agree. It's completely baffling. I think we've had a collective media political ostrich moment over all this stuff, which now you look at it and as more and more damaging stuff comes out, we're all like, how the hell has this happened?
I wanted to finish by asking you about someone you know well, Donald Trump. Do you believe that Trump has engineered that the relationship between him and Epstein, the details of that, because they don't appear to be in the latest dumping of files. Do you think there is really damaging information about the relationship between Epstein and Trump that Trump has somehow engineered to keep out of the public domain?
Well, I don't believe there's anything criminal. And the reason I would say that with some confidence is twofold. One, I've interviewed several times David Boies, who was Virginia Giuffre, one of the more notable victims of Epstein, who sadly took her life last year. He was her attorney. He said to me he'd seen the files and saw nothing that led to any criminality on Donald Trump's part. And he's one of the most experienced criminal lawyers in American modern history. Secondly, if there was anything in those files which pointed to Trump breaking the law in any way, then the Democrats had access to them under Joe Biden's presidency for 4 years. The idea they wouldn't have used them as a stick to beat Trump with and stop him winning that election, I think, is for the birds. But I do think a lot of Trump's business associates are in it, as they are on the Democrat side, a lot of donors and so on. And I think that may be playing on his mind. My message to Donald Trump about this is very clear. When you campaigned in the last election, you did so by saying you're going to release all the files on Epstein. Now we've had 3 million documents released on a single day, which people are pouring through, but we're told there are 3 million more documents which are not going to be released. And I say to Donald Trump, who I've known 20 years, this is not going to fly, Mr. President. The conspiracy theories will rage relentlessly about what you did or didn't know and what all the other people did or didn't know if those 3 million other files are not released. Just get it out there. I don't believe it will lead to any suggestion of criminality by Trump, however ill-advised his relationship with Epstein was. But it may well lead to criminality on other people, perhaps people he knows. Well, if that's the case, so be it. People need to be made accountable. My final point, Robert, is there is a really weird thing here, where in the UK, high-profile figures are dropping like flies in this scandal.
No, it is weird.
Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, Mandelson and so on. But in America, we're not seeing the same thing happening. That has to change.
I think almost everybody watching will agree with you, and I should also probably point out that not everybody named in the Epstein files is guilty. I think we should leave it there, really. Piers, as always, an absolute treat to talk to you, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Robert. Take care.